Hello my friends who are listening to Ebird Online, and I'm back again talking about a couple in crisis. Guys, they only moved in 24 hours ago. Yes, that's right, it's lavatorially challenged Rob and Sophie, and we're talking about 90 Day Fiancé. Right, so guys, I wasn't planning to cover this couple until next week. I do have a certain witch that I want to give my attention to. However, events this week simply made it impossible for me to ignore. But before we get into all of that, I'm going to give you a quick rendition of I Told You So. So if you guys remember last week, it was my sworn testimony that Rob doesn't like Sophie. And that's to say, I think he likes what she represents, and he loves her aesthetic, but he doesn't actually like her. He doesn't like who she is at her core. He's very, very resentful of her. In fact, I'd go as far to say he's jealous of her. And so if we think back to last week, he was telling pure unadulterated lies about her. He said she was spoiled, she lives off mummy and daddy's money, and that she's not down to earth, and that she's a little princess. Now none of this was true, but this is what he'd have the viewers believe. But the main bit of evidence I have for this theory that he doesn't like her is the situation with the lift. So Rob allegedly broke the lift and the couple were trapped inside. And once they managed to get out, Rob went to get the suitcases, but Sophie got the lift working again. And as he was walking back across the car park, he said through clenched teeth and under his breath, "I can't stand you." But guys, Rob had forgotten one thing. He was mic'd up and we heard every word. And then of course we can't forget Rob gaslighting Sophie, not just about the apartment, but also insisting that he'd never cheated, but at exactly the same time, detailing the exact form that this cheating took. And so guys, this week we stumble across some more incontrovertible evidence that Rob doesn't like Sophie. And the eBird's here to break it all down for you. But just before I do, please consider subscribing to the channel. I have now got a couple of videos on my shorts channel, so don't forget to check those out as well. But yes, smash it, press it, hit it, caress it, subscribe my friends, subscribe. And also if you enjoy the video, please consider hitting the like button. And guys, help spread the word. Help your girl out and share this video on your social media. Thanks guys. Right, so without further ado, I give you Rob and Sophie. And so when we first meet up with the couple, they're driving in the car to go and meet up with Rob's sister, who's apparently a wedding planner. But guys, Rob has something to say to production with regard to how Sophie moving to LA has gone so far.
Sophie arrived to the US a couple days ago, and it's been pretty up and down. We've had huge things about online cheating and just bickering and fighting about stupid stuff. But I don't want to dwell on that negative stuff.
Wait, what? Arguing about stupid little things? Things like you not having a bathroom, and things like you cheating? Sophie literally wanted to talk through the situation. She wanted really, I think, for some sort of apology, contrition, and promise of never doing it again. Instead she got, "When will you leave it alone?" and "I didn't cheat, I'm not a cheater." And then finally, just for good measure, he dismisses all of her feelings. "I'm going to ignore all of this negativity. Rob, you're the cause of all the negativity." I think Rob's the kind of guy who, when somebody proffers a criticism, I think he rebrands that criticism, he rebrands it as negativity. And I'm also fairly sure that as and when people criticise Rob, he calls them haters, instead of just, well, humans, or even sentient beings. So anyway, back to the car ride, and Sophie's very nervous about meeting his sister Victoria. And Rob said, "Whatever you do, don't act shy." And she said, "You can't tell me not to act shy." And he said, "Just be yourself." And apparently she's met her a couple of times before, but she doesn't know her too well, and she hasn't met any of the rest of his family. And so anyway guys, we clap eyes on Rob's sister. She seems absolutely lovely, and in fact, she's more excited about this relationship than Rob appears to be.
Hi, how are you? I'm good. You're finally here. I know, it's crazy. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you.
Guys, it's all high octane. It's maximum excitement. And at once they start talking about planning the wedding. Victoria said to Sophie excitedly, "What's your ideal wedding?" And guys, Sophie's response threw me for an absolute loop. Sophie said, "Well, I think I just want a basic courthouse type thing." What? Oh guys, this is a girl who likes to dress up for a living. That's what she does, to earn money. I find it very, very difficult to believe that a basic courthouse wedding is her ideal wedding. And this tells me one of two things. Either one, Sophie's just in this for the green card and she doesn't really care about Rob. which is possible. But 2, and this is more likely, Sophie's just not sure about Rob at all. She's rather wisely using this time to work out if she wants to get married to him, but then she should maybe tell him that. I think he feels like the only thing he needs to plan is the date. But Victoria has other ideas, and she said, well, it doesn't have to be expensive, but we can make it special. And then she said to Sophie that it might help her mentally, if she were working on something. Because obviously she can't work at the moment and she doesn't really have money to go anywhere. And so this might be a benefit for her. Guys, I've got to say things are pretty bad when your sister-in-law-to-be has to convince you to have a half-decent wedding on the basis of the fact you've got nothing better to do with your time. Oh Lord, this partnership right here really is a match made in hell. But then Victoria asked a question which, well, basically drives an even bigger fracture into the relationship of this couple. And she asked, do you two plan on having kids?
I mean, I feel like we've touched base on it, like in general.
Well, that's kind of
we'll have
huge.
We'll have kids in the future.
Like, to be honest, like, I don't think I actually want to be pregnant.
Guys, I'm kind of struggling here. These two haven't spoken properly about the relationship-defining issue of having kids. Wars have been fought over less. But Sophie just kept on repeating, I don't want to be pregnant. And Rob said, what does that even mean? Rob. Guys, somebody get Rob the birds and the bees. And don't forget to clip on some additional info on Internet Hose. But yeah, she just kept saying, I don't want to be pregnant. That doesn't mean anything. You can just go and adopt a kid. Or have a surrogate like Kim Kardashian. But then she clarified and she turned to Rob and she said, if I don't ever want to have kids, is that going to be a problem for you? Yeah, Sophie, that's going to be a problem for him. I'll tell you what else is going to be a problem. The fact that if he does decide to have kids, how the hell's he going to pay for them? Well, who knows? Maybe they'll be happy walking to the toilet outside in the middle of the night. Here's hoping. And Victoria had some very wise words. She said, you both think that you've spoken about this, but you haven't. There have been a lot of assumptions on both parts. And I think that there have, because I really don't understand how you can think that you've said you do want kids or think that you've said you don't, but yet not really know or not remember exactly what was said. Anyway, Rob confirmed to Sophie that it would indeed be a problem if she didn't want to have kids. By the interesting medium of mime, he just stood up and he walked out. And he tells production he really doesn't know how he feels right now.
Sophie just rocked my entire belief in her and what we can have. And it's like, what else? What's the next thing that you're going to tell me that you really don't want or you really don't care about?
Yeah, and again with the negative framing. He said, what next? What else don't you want or don't you care about? She never said she doesn't care about having kids. She specifically said she doesn't want them, or in fact she didn't. She said she doesn't want to be pregnant. I don't know if that's her way of softening, I don't want to have a baby with you, but I don't know. But also, Rob, let's not forget this. You're 32, she's 21. You're at very different stages in your life. I think the average age to have a baby in the UK for a woman is 31. So she's very young, and I'd argue that's probably even older in London. Perhaps if you're with somebody a little more age appropriate, this sort of consideration might have been given more consideration. And so while Rob's away, Sophie and Victoria sit down for a chat. And Sophie explains to Victoria that she had a teratoma cyst in her left ovary, and she was told at the time that she might not be able to have kids. And since that point, she kind of put it out of her mind a bit, and she thought rather than be desperate to have kids and be let down, she'd rather just go through life and think, well, I don't want kids. And Victoria said, you have to delve into this and work out if you do or if you definitely don't. And once more, Rob's talking to production as he's playing basketball. And he said, she needs to really figure this out. I've been talking about kids' names. She definitely knew that I wanted kids. And guys, he seems genuinely really angry. But Sophie's got a very different story. She tells production that not once did Rob say that he ever wanted kids. They've talked about moving to the country and having a few animals, but never talked about having kids. Yeah, well, for what it's worth, I'm not really sure what's happened here, but I think that both of them have just heard what they wanted to hear. So then, guys, Sophie goes over to talk to Rob, and Rob's still playing basketball, or I don't know, some sort of basketball-esque game. And she said, stop, we need to talk. And he said, no, I want to enjoy the arcade. But he's looking at her, guys. He's giving her one piece of cut-eye. He's giving her daggers.
I understand that Rob is in shock about what I've said, but I'm also in shock by the way he's acting. It seems like he hates me. And it's crazy how something like that can just go so sideways. I said one thing and he's looking at me like he's ready to walk away and leave. I've never seen him look at me like that before.
And guys, this is what I was talking about when I said that I don't think that Rob actually likes Sophie. I think Sophie's there to fulfill certain needs for Rob, and if she doesn't manage to fulfill those needs, I don't think he'll want her around any longer. So we now find out that one of those needs is procreation, to have kids. I also think that one of them is to look good and to make him look good, and to make him feel like a winner. And I think another one is to obtain funds from her parents. And then Rob said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the rest of my life if I don't have kids. Yeah, at the moment, we want to goal chase, but after we've done that, what does Sophie see us doing with our later years? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? Oh, Rob, don't worry about the rest of your life. Worry about your life to date. As far as the eye can see, your life has previously been untroubled by success. And there's nothing that would suggest any modicum of success is in your very near future. You should be thinking about your career. How are you going to make ends meet? How are you going to pay for a wedding? Many, many things before you think about procreating and bringing children into the world.
All right, we want to grind, we want to goal chase right now. And then what? Even Jay-Z and Beyonce got kids.
Wait, what? Is this ridiculous little munchkin really comparing his relationship to that of Jay-Z and Beyonce? Jay-Z and Beyonce are worth $3 billion combined. They have 40 Grammy Awards between them, and they both, in their respected fields, are some of the most talented and successful recording artists. Jay-Z founded and owns Rock Nation, which last year turned over $233 million. And I also have it on very good authority that they don't go outside in the middle of the night every time they want to take a piss. Rob, there's only one person in your household that's happy with your toilet facilities, and that's the bloody dog. And Rob finished up by saying,
It's like, I don't want to be single forever. If I wanted to not have kids, I'd probably be a player forever.
And there we have it. Rob's not necessarily in love with Sophie. He's in love with what she can provide for him and do for him. As we all know with women, looks fade. They're not forever. And I can well imagine that after they have a couple of kids, and her body's not as on point as it was, and she's a little bit older, he'll have no further use for Sophie, and I can imagine him returning to his player ways. But I think they're both at fault. If he wanted to have kids really badly, he should have explicitly said so. And if she really didn't want to have kids, or thought she couldn't, she too should have explicitly said so. But like I say, at the age of 21, it's not something that people often talk about. And with that, Rob turned to Sophie and said, leave me alone for a bit. So the final time we see the couple for this week, Rob is talking to Sister Victoria, and he's saying, I definitely put it out there. I feel like she knew I wanted kids. And Victoria said, well, you guys have got to speak about this. She told me a little bit about the operation she had. Has she told you? And Rob said he kind of knew about it, but he didn't know there was any question about her having children. And guys, I can tell Victoria's a real one. She's a lovely girl. She said, you guys need to talk, but I'm here for both of you. And she gave him a big hug. But I like the fact that she realises Sophie's here on her own, and she may need someone to talk to, and she's obviously going to lend an ear, which I think is extremely generous. And Rob tells production that he could not walk down the aisle right now, because it would be a lie, and the couple leave the arcade. And later on, Sophie said to production, I'm not obliged to have children, no woman is. And she said, I still want to be with Rob, I still feel the same about him, but as soon as I said what I said, it seems to me that his feelings, well, they've totally switched. So when they get back to the apartment, Rob sits on a chair and he sits there sulking. And Sophie said that she's very tired and she'll speak to him tomorrow with regard to the situation, and they can talk through her reasons for not wanting kids and his reasons for wanting them, and they can both think things through. And that's where we end things for this week. So what does the Ebird make to all of this? Well, this couple are ever so slightly ridiculous. She's proposed to him, he accepted, and then he proposed to her, and she accepted. And in the midst of all of this proposing, neither one of them spoke openly and with specificity with regard to the massive issue of having children. And on this issue, I think they are both equally to blame. But it's Rob's take on the whole thing which worries me greatly. He pretty much explicitly said the only reason for him to be faithful to a woman and not be a player is if they're providing him with children. And so of course that begs the question, Does he actually love Sophie, or does he love what she can do for him? In addition to this, Rob's managed to get all the way to the age of 32 without having an inside toilet, and without really having a proper job or a proper income. And so if I were Sophie, I'd be fairly worried about his capacity to provide for a family. Obviously, when she's pregnant and when the child's small, she wouldn't be able to work, so she more than likely would need him to step up and be the sole provider. And I ask myself, is he capable? Maybe so, but what we've seen currently wouldn't suggest it. And Rob deals with situations like a pesky 3-year-old. He sits there and sulks, gives Sophie the side eye, and refuses to talk about their problems. He is walking, talking, living proof that at least one child was left behind. I think he's chosen to marry somebody so young so that he can dominate them. And it's of course all the easier to gaslight a young girl as opposed to somebody his own age. So guys, let me know what you think. Is this relationship doomed? I think so. But I guess time will tell. Guys, please put your comments down below. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you soon. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.
You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry.